Hey there. Sorry, I'm staring blankly into the camera because it's on, but I look like I'm in a stupor because I didn't realize it was on. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Those of you who are here. Oh my gosh. Okay, Jamie, yay, you're here. Thank you so much. You said you were going to be here, and I knew you'd be one of like 3 people because I'm begging people, please come and watch. Yes, and Sherry, I see you too. Thank you. This is so awesome. Thanks, you guys, for joining me today. So my plan is to do kind of abstract painting, kind of show you the process that I go through, and then, but I'll kind of we'll break it down into little parts. But the first thing I want to say is many of you will be watching this on replay, and that's perfectly fine. So I want to remind you when you're watching the replay, on the right hand side up at the top, if you want to see the comments that are being made, you can click that button up at the top, and I think it says something like follow along with the comments, or I don't know what it is, but sometimes that's helpful because if I'm responding to a question, then you may or may not be able to see that if you don't click those comments up above. So Anna, yay, you're here. Ingrid, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Okay, this is only my second live. So I'm, maybe a little nervous because usually I make the video, I edit the video, and I can edit out all my pauses, all the times when I can't remember anything, and the times when it just seems like nothing's working. So today you get to see the real me. So hopefully that will won't be too scary to see. But the other thing I wanted to mention, besides thanking you guys for joining me, is that I am going to go back and forth between the two cameras. So I'll show you what I'm working on, and then I'll try to come back and talk. When I'm talking, I'll try to use this camera angle. So if you post your questions, I'll try to answer those, or if you have any comments or anything like that. So yay, Tosh, you made it. Okay, I think some of you are in Europe, so you're like 9 o'clock at night or something. I'm not sure, I can't remember who's who, but I did get some really great comments when I posted that I was going to go live. So anyway, thank you so much. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what my inspiration for today. So I'm going to grab that. It's right here, actually. I am going to switch my camera around so that you can see it, and we'll just see how that goes. Okay, so a few days ago, or early last week, I can't get the whole thing in the camera, but I painted this abstract, and I just used a very limited neutral palette. And when I was done, I thought I didn't like it, but then when I went back, I was happy with it. And I think because I just kept layering and kept adding and kept adding, and then, is it a work of art? No, but I'm happy that I just pushed through, because I think at first it looked really junky and messy, and then I just kept editing and editing. And there's a few more things I would do to it, but this is kind of the inspiration for today. I'm not going to be working in this art journal though. Okay, so to get started, the first thing I want to mention was, oh my gosh, it's fall, and look at this adorable little white pumpkin. Our Trader Joe's sells these, and I just felt like it looked really nice with my muted papers I was going to show you guys today. So anyway, go get your white pumpkin at Trader Joe's. It'll make you, hopefully it make you as happy as it did me today. So, okay, before we ever start, I'm just going to say, I think it's important to do a warm-up, just like anything, and maybe I'll switch back and talk to you about this. I think often, and I was just meeting with someone earlier, Sue, if you're there, hi, and we were talking about this. It's like it never gets any easier to start. Whether it doesn't matter what you're doing, right? If you're going to the gym, if you're going to start knitting, if you're going to start cooking dinner, it's like it's just hard to get started. But once you get going, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. And the same is with making art or any kind of creative endeavor. It feels like the beginning is the hardest thing, and I have to sometimes go, oh, just begin, because we just have so many roadblocks. We think, oh, we have to have the end result, or the end, whatever's going to be done, it has to be perfect. So there's so many obstacles that keep us from actually being creative. And so today I want to show you one way when I'm sitting, looking on Pinterest for ideas. It's like, oh my gosh, stop. Just go mix up some paint and do something, or grab a soft pastel or your oil pastel or something and just make some marks. That is how we start. And so, like someone who's exercising and you need to warm up, this is the same type of concept. So I just want to show you a few things, how I warm up, how I get from sitting and staring at someone else's work to actually making my own work. So I'll change the camera back. All right, so I have a little stack of paper here, and these are the kind of things I typically work on top of. So I have my art journal, which is something I have about 6 or 7 of these at any given time. And then I have all these random pieces of paper, and you can see I have a preference for kind of older materials. I like how they look. I paint over the top of them and then use those for collage papers, like in this case. So there's just lots of different things you can do with them. So I thought I'd show you when I'm, unable to get started. I say to myself, and I have to trick myself, okay, all you have to do is just put some marks down on paper. So let's just pretend I don't even want to get out any paint. So what would I do instead? I have these Lyra pencils. They're just big chunky pencils. I'm going to use my art journal for this. I might just come in and just make some whatever. It doesn't really matter, right? This is not my work of art. This is not what I'm doing, but it's getting me in motion, and it's getting, oh, wow, that's kind of cool. So if after I did that, I might come in with just like a chunky Stabilo pencil, maybe make some lines. Now, if you are telling me you can't do this, you can't. This is already getting me, okay, now I'm feeling it. Because even for me, and I do this a lot, I have a hard time getting started sometimes. So I'm gonna grab a piece of charcoal, and I'm just gonna make, I'm just gonna keep doing this stuff. I could, at this point, I could grab a paintbrush. I could get it a little bit wet over here. I could activate this charcoal block. Could just do that. I could, if I was super motivated, grab some paint. I have a big tub. Oh my gosh, you guys, look. And I've already got it. I've already started putting other colors inside of it, which horrifies most of you, I know. So there's lots of things you can do. So this is getting me started. So I can leave it at that. Okay, that was fun. I'll leave that. I'm getting warmed up. So it's really as simple as grabbing whatever tool. I'm just looking around, seeing what have I not grabbed. A oil pastel really is not messy, so it makes kind of luscious colors. So on a day when you want to make something but you're just looking at other people's art, you can do this. Okay, and let's say you don't have all these things. Say you just have a pencil, you could still do that. And some basic paints, it would be simple enough. So it really, you don't need a lot to get started. So that's one way. The other way I like to do is sometimes just say, oh, all I'm going to do today is make some collage papers. So, brush over here. A lot of times I like to make simple things like just really basic tick marks. This paintbrush isn't very good, but that's okay, because then I get unique marks when my paintbrush is old and kind of grungy. So, okay, so it's as simple as that. Okay, I'm missing people who are talking over here. Okay, Vanessa, hey, okay. Marie-France, thanks. Great. Volume seems a bit low. Okay, maybe anybody else with the volume? Let me see what I can do on my end. I'll turn my volume up. Anybody else have any issues with the volume? Because I have a loud voice, so if you can't hear me, that's not good. So let me know if anybody else is having some problems with the volume. Okay, so it's really that simple. This is kind of a warm up. Another warm up I like to do is let's grab a different brush. Let's grab this. Is just make some other simple marks. Let's do it on this paper here. Actually, let's make it a little darker. Is just do stuff like this. So now I have 2 colors on my brush, and it leaves, creates an interesting mark. And I can tear these up and use them in my artwork, or I can just use them, whatever I want to do with them. I can leave them whole, I can tear them up, I can do whatever. But the point of all of this is to just get us started. And I already feel like, okay, now I feel a little more confident just getting started by beginning this thing right here. So matte medium on the spread on the paper. Oh no, on this paper right over here. Let me grab it. On this one, Ingrid, is this the one you're talking about? When you get a second, I just put white. This is just some white paint, and I just put white paint. You could use your gesso. There's no reason not to. I just had white paint right here handy, so I hope that answers. Volume is too low still. Okay, I'm not really sure what. I'll see what I can do on my end. I don't know. Sorry about that. I think I'm not sure what else I can do. Anybody can turn it up on your end. So sorry that I'm too quiet, which is really not like me. So I did turn my volume up on my computer again. I don't know if that's going to help. Sorry about that, you guys. Okay, so the other thing I want to show you, obviously you can use old book paper, music paper, random paper, art journal. These are all just for warm-up. Another thing I like to work on is deli paper or tissue paper, because when you cut it out or adhere it, typically on a surface, then you don't see the background anymore. So you can do all kinds of fun things. Let's just grab some of this green. Makes a fun, and you can make different colored circles or simple shapes, whatever you like. Some people like triangles. Sometimes you might want to just do numbers. This is just a warm-up, so it doesn't matter. And if you want to use it later in your artwork, you have some papers that are ready. And this is just because you had a hard time getting started, if you're like me. Okay, so today what I want to show you is what I'm going to work on top of. So as you can see here, this is crazy, but this was something that I did when I just didn't have any time and I just came in and marked over the top. Here is some collage paper that I could respond to. So a lot of times I make backgrounds or clean my paintbrush off, and then I come back and make art over the top of it, because I already have the texture. For these, I already have the beautiful texture that I love working on top of. So that's what we're going to do today. But before we get started, I kind of want to mention, I'm going to grab this piece of paper here. I want to show you something. A lot of times what I do is, okay, some people say it sounds fine. It's okay with ear pods. Great. Okay. The tissue paper that I used, that I was just showing you, it's called actual deli paper. So it's like you would wrap a sandwich up in. It's not wax paper, it's thinner than that, but it's kind of waxy on one side and plain on the other. There is, I know there's some tissue called wet strength tissue, and I don't use that. I think it's great. I've heard people rave about it, but I don't have any of that. If I use tissue paper, I typically just use your store-bought regular tissue paper. And tracing paper also works. That's great. That's another good idea. So yes, and I have a pad of tracing paper that I sometimes use. So what I wanted to show you now was just kind of the color palette that I'm going to use. Now that half my brushes are dirty, let's grab a few more. Even though typically I don't mind my paints mixing, because I'm going to do a lot of that anyway. But I just kind of want to show you what I was thinking today. So I'm going to use this Payne's Gray, which is like a dark navy blue, and it mixes really well. This, I already added some white to it, so it's a little bit lighter. But this is like a green gold, and it's kind of a transparent green. It's really pretty, and it adds that pop of color, which I'm more muted colors, but it adds a really great pop when you need a little something. And then I have a gray, which and most of these colors I tend not to use by themselves. I typically will mix. So, okay, obviously I have white. Let's grab one more paintbrush over here. Got 1,000 of them. And then I have the raw sienna here. So it's a very muted palette, very limited. Also, I guess I have one more. I have the raw umber. And I'm a big fan of raw umber. I use it in almost everything. I feel like you can add it to anything, and it just, especially a glaze or something, it just adds, kind of makes things grungy, and just, you know, beautiful. And obviously I have white. Oh, and I was going to show you, I have this new paint, thought I'd bring it in too. It's the Le Blanc Bourgeois Flash Paint, and I think it's a little more matte, but I just thought this color was beautiful, and I typically mix my own colors. I don't typically use them right out of the pot, but this is a little pot that I bought, and so I want to give it a try. So I'm going to set it off to the side, and it'll become like my white. Sadly, I contaminate my paints by, you know, adding other colors into them, which is not probably the best idea, but for me, I don't really mind. So you can barely see that. It's really pretty. So I had one other pot of this brand of paint, and I just loved it. It was a different color. It was like a blue. And so I thought, oh, I'm going to try a different color. So, okay. So those are the colors, and those are the ones I'm going to use today. If I change my mind, I will just grab some of the paints, because I have them all right here to the right of me. But I wanted to kind of show you, sometimes it's good to just kind of look at what colors you're going to use, and just then you kind of have a like, oh, is this what I want? Do I want to add a red? Do I want to add a lighter blue or a different green? This kind of can give you an idea, a roadmap to where you want to go. And I have found using less color in terms of a number of different colors you use better than using more colors. Because the more colors you have, the more choices you have to make, and the harder it is to really discern what you want to do. I do find it fun to work on top of something like this with this kind of limited palette, because little spots of this might pop through and it makes it a little bit more interesting. So working on a background that's already there, not to mention the texture, if you're like me and you like texture. I know not everybody's texture person, but I love working on top of texture. It, for me, takes away the pressure of anything ever being perfect, because it's going to be bumpy and lumpy, and that is something that I actually really like. So I'm going to pause for a second before we get started, switch over. I just want to see, make sure I'm not missing anybody's question. Anyway, if anybody has any questions, or if you know, as I'm making and doing this, I can hopefully be checking the comments, but I wanted to see, like, what is it that, like I was talking about with the warm-up, what is it that you find hardest about getting started? Because we all have something that keeps us from doing the thing that we really want to do. So is it like, oh, I don't want to get out my paints, I don't want to get messy, there's a lot of things that hold us back. Oh, I want to make sure my end result is perfect or beautiful or something like that. And we all tend to, you know, have those thoughts, even though it's like supposedly the one thing that we really, really want to do. So I would just, you know, if you have any of those comments, we can talk that through while I start painting. I think I am going to use this. I'll go back to this. I think I am going to use this page, because it has a lot of color and a lot of texture on it, and just kind of see where it goes. And kind of the way I start is really by just putting down, not being afraid, although on camera now I start like, oh, what do I do? I can't remember. I'm going to move these 1,000 paintbrushes over, and I'm going to be bold. I think I'm going to mix some stuff. I think I'm going to do it gray and see what happens. Okay, I've got too many things here. So we'll just see what this turns out to be. And then literally, let's just paint. Let's just get something in motion, because the minute I'm afraid of painting, then, which I am on camera sometimes, because you worry about making a mistake, or I'm already worried like, oh, it's not going to turn out. You guys are going to be like, what? But that's okay. It's okay if it doesn't turn out, because this is just an exercise. And I have the one I did before, which I wasn't happy with at the beginning, but then later I did like. So that's kind of how art is, right? My issue, Ingrid is saying, my issue is knowing how to start. Yeah, right? getting all my materials out. Yeah, Tosh, that's right. Yeah. So those are true. It's like the reason we don't know how to start is because we want to have a finished product. So I can tell you, I was having this conversation just a little bit ago in one of my sessions, and I said, yeah, I'm just sitting looking at Pinterest, trying for Pinterest to give me an idea of where I want to go and what I want to do. And I realized, well, I can't, that's great. Pinterest has beautiful ideas, as does Instagram and all the different things. But unless I get myself in motion, here, I'll turn this because I'm talking again. Unless I get myself in motion, unless I actually grab something and start doing it, I can't do the next thing. I can't, that's how I can't get started. So I have to trick myself. So I have to say, okay, all I have to do is just use this one thing and start putting some color down. I'm going to make a circle. And often my default is circles. If I can't think of anything to do, I grab a material that I don't have to get paint out, and I start making circles. And guess what? Then in the next page, it's like, oh, I want to do some more. I want to do something different. That's how you get started. You trick yourself. And I mean, it's sad that we have to trick ourselves into doing something that we actually really love doing. So, but that's what I found. For me, it's a setup, lack of space, not feeling like getting paint out, and the messiness and cleanup. At the same time, I do feel the need for media that covers more of the page. Yeah, okay, again, that sets the tone for the whole project, so it's not easy to decide on an idea. Yeah, yes, I think it's true. It's all of that. Those are all valid reasons. It's messy. You don't want to start because where do you start? And I agree. A lot of times there's not clear-cut ideas, and yet I don't have a clear-cut idea. I'm just trying to show you that sometimes you just have to start something. I think I need a dark now, and then just see where it goes. Because the problem is we think we have to know what we're doing at the very end. So, okay, I have this big mess here. So what am I going to do? I'm going to start editing. I'm going to start taking away maybe some of the other color. I'm going to mix some colors. I'm going to turn it into something else. But yeah, I think by thinking we have to have all the answers before we even start, it makes it so that we don't start at all. And that's kind of sad because honestly, it shouldn't be about the end result unless we are doing a commission for somebody, which I'm not doing commissions for anybody. So I can't do that. But I get that some people do. And in that case, yeah, you got to know what you're doing, and you got to make it the way they want. I'm taking because I'm feeling, I don't know what's happening here. I have what's called this catalyst wedge, and I'm just smearing the paint because sometimes when I think I'm just gonna like something or I'm not sure, I mess it up. And that's what's happening here. So fear is another thing that often holds us back because we're afraid of messing up. We want it to look good right out of the gate, and it can't. So the other thing a lot of times I do is I'll take these tools. These are like pottery tools that they do they make marks in pottery, and I'll just kind of scrape across my page and make some more marks like that. No rhyme or reason. And then sometimes I take a Stabilo All pencil and I just make, maybe some lines or marks, or maybe sometimes I write some words up the side, and sometimes it gets covered up, sometimes it doesn't. Let's say I want to do something over here. So yeah, there you go. Hey, Angelina. Okay, I can't even imagine what time it is in Australia. Is it morning there? The middle of the night? Yikes! The time zones. I don't know them all, and I know it gets tricky. So thank you for making the effort to come, because I know it's not easy. Okay, I'm gonna grab kind of some grayish, brownish. I might add a dab of green in there. Okay, let's just see what happens. Okay, what part don't I like? Okay, I heard you say all of it. That's a good one. I know, it is true, kind of all of it. But, yeah, it's not terribly. Okay, let's get some lights in. Let's go with some more white over here, maybe add a little green in. Let's see, okay, because I think this needs some lights. Okay. All right, and here's another thing. I'm working on camera, so I don't have time to dry or step away. Sometimes what I do is I add a piece of paper over the top and pull off like the extra paint. I have a lot of paint on here, and it's starting to get very thick, and the thicker it is, the harder it will be to dry. So, okay, let's see. 7 a.m. Okay, so you're just getting it up. All right. Well, welcome. I appreciate you coming and joining us here this morning. For you, it's the afternoon on the West Coast here in Seattle, and we're actually having a beautiful, lovely day today. So the sun is out. It's just beautiful. September is often really nice here. Okay, I am going to grab. Where is it? Oh, my stuff is messed up. Okay, I'm going to grab a chunky, this is a Derwent charcoal block, and I'm just going to make, I don't know, maybe some lines and marks, and this is probably there. Okay, and the reason I like to just continue to make a mess at the beginning is because I just don't know where it's going to go, and sometimes these lines and things will show up later, but it also takes away the pressure of like, right out of the gate, do I have to make something beautiful? Well, no. And in fact, if it doesn't turn out beautiful, that's okay too. Because part of making art, being creative, is that sometimes it doesn't always turn out the way we want. And so what have we learned from it? I don't like that charcoal on top of this, or I don't like this color palette because I couldn't mix some of the things that I wanted, and that's the part that we have to kind of live with. Okay, Marie France. Oh yeah. Okay, that's great. When she is unable to get going, has no mojo, she makes collage masterboards. I love that, with scraps and paints and lots of mark making. Yeah, I think anytime it's like we say, oh, we don't have to. It doesn't have to be perfect or beautiful. I think that really lends itself to a lot of freedom, and then all of a sudden, yeah, we can make things, or we can get started because we've given ourselves that we've taken the pressure off, because it's not going to be great. Okay, so I don't know what's happening here, but I kind of like that green in there, so maybe I'll add some more of that green over here, because it adds that little bit of interest in the color. Okay. And that got a little grungy, but I can add some darks in, and I probably should have some different size brushes here. I kind of like how that went through. I kind of like that line that we had, that charcoal made. So for me, a lot of people, when they make art, I know, like, they'll finish and I'll think, oh, that's maybe too busy for me, or that's different. And that is a great place to be, because you're identifying the things you like or you don't like. And I think often what happens is we think we have to make it like somebody else did, when in fact we've got our own ideas. And that, I think, that's where the beauty is in finding, okay, I like the way they did that, but I would have done this, or I would have added that. And I think the more we can do that, the more we come in alignment with what, the art we're supposed to be making, and our own personal style and our own personal choices, which sometimes we always think, oh, I gotta find my style and what I like, and it's right there all along. It's just hiding inside of us. Okay, should we mess it up again? I think we should. Okay. Now, there's so much collage paper, I can feel some of it wants to tear up, and I'm actually going to have a video on that on Monday. I think it's on Monday it comes up, where I have collage paper, and then I peel off. So I'm just doing that because this paper, this little bit wants to peel off. And so I'll just take those off right now. I feel them bubbling. What happens is, the reason that's coming up is because the matte medium that I used did not adhere. I probably didn't take the time to smooth out the bubble. And when there's bubbles, then it doesn't attach to the paper as well. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go back and grab this Stabilo All again. I kind of like these little marks here. I'm not sure what I want to do, but then that's a good time just to do something is better than nothing, right? Yikes, I'm completely, now I think I should do something up here because, no, I'm just going to go with my first impulse. See, I just want to make, yeah, okay. All right. And I'm actually going to use this graphite again and just maybe make some marks down here. All of this kind of stuff will often, not always, but show us up just a little bit. So I just try to add it in a few places, and you just never know. And maybe I'll add some circles in. And I'm trying to do them backwards so they look kind of a little more childlike. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. What else? I think it needs something light over here. So I'm going to go back again. Light. I like to mix my white with something I'm already using just to tint it so it's not pure white, which I think it's a little more interesting. Let's see. I feel like maybe I don't like it to be too busy. Although you couldn't tell from this. You're like, really? Seems like you like real busy stuff. But I like to edit out and see what happens. And I think that's where the fear comes in, is we forget, oh, I can just paint over that. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Okay, this color is bothering me. So I feel like if I can use this. It's called a color shaper. And that's too solid. Let's grab a mark making tool. And it makes kind of drags up in a smooth, I don't know how to describe it. It takes the paint and just puts it on in a completely different way. So I think it's fun to use your different tools and not just use the same things over and over again, which often it's hard to remember to do that now that I just want to use all the paint up off of here. So try to I have a lot of the same size brushes, which is kind of a mistake. I do have this big one, but I am not working that large. So, but this color shaper is a great tool. The other thing I could be using is a palette knife, which maybe I'll try that. Let's use this green again. Go over. The nice thing about the palette knife is you can kind of scrape on and scrape off, and it can hit just the parts that are kind of sticking up a little bit, if that makes any sense, like from the collage. Okay, I like that. So even though I just painted those, I kind of like the idea of them not being completely 100%. Okay, making a mess again, but it's this fine line between pushing and pulling and doing and not. And I'm setting this over here. I'm trying to see if there's another tool that I want to use, because I think it's good to use, to use all your tools. I think I'm going to grab this charcoal block again. I'm liking this kind of, I didn't anticipate that, but I kind of like the movement of how it's going around the page. And I think that's working good. And I think I'll put a little bit more dark. Let's see, how should we have this go? Maybe this goes here. Then the minute you try to do it and have it make sense, then it's like, oh, it was just happening, and then you messed it up, which is what I'm kind of probably doing. But yeah, I think that's good. I think sometimes too, it's like the art is, it's about differences. It's like light and dark, so you have to remember that. You know, thicker line, thinner lines, something big, something small, a hard edge and a soft edge. So a hard edge would be this line right here, maybe this line right here, and a softer edge would be when I pull or smear something, right? It's not a straight line. So it's kind of good to think of all those things when you're making art. I don't tend to think about all the different rules as I'm doing it. I try to respond to it just kind of what I like, and then later go back and say, okay, it's not working. So what could I change? What would make sense? What's not? You know, what do I think isn't right here in terms of maybe the composition or just the feel of it just doesn't. And I tend to go a lot on how it feels because that is kind of that works for me as an artist, and not, you know, some people are more rigid with following the specific rules and the different you know, compositional things. I'm just like, oh, I want it to feel right and look right, but then I'm not willing to completely just focus on the rules. It's like I got to make it first, and then then see what is or isn't working. Okay, I think we're getting there. It's kind of weird, but I'm editing out the parts I don't like, and thinking maybe this doesn't work. It's hard to know. Let's get some more of that in here. I think too, I like to go over and over because I like the different layers that are made from, you know, using the different colors. Now it's interesting, I got completely away from this raw sienna. I got all my paintbrushes going on here. So let's see, maybe there's a way to add in some more of that. But I like it peeking through here. Maybe I'll put a little bit here, because I do I like it. Okay. I'm wondering, do I bridge that gap? Don't know. Let's do it. Doesn't matter. Let's bridge these gaps. Who cares? We can make it, we can change it if we don't like it. I think that's the problem. We forget that we can change whatever isn't working. So, okay, let's see. Is there any questions so far? Okay, sounds good. Any thoughts here? Let's see. Let's grab some more light color. I'm looking, it's interesting. When I look down at it, I see one thing, and then when I look at the camera, I see something different. And I think that's perspective is really, it's helpful because it helps us to see it in different light. That's why sometimes we have to walk away from something in order to really see it. I don't think I was liking that. And I think what I'll do is grab this wedge. And I think I don't like this. Like I said, I can always take it out. And let's see, maybe sometimes just by going over something very lightly too, it kind of tones it down. Darks, and I'm then mixing the raw umber and the Payne's Gray. I like that color together as a dark, but we don't have really any darks over here. Do I go up? Do I go down? Do I go at an angle? This out. See, this is a dilemma. You add in, and you take out, and you add in. And maybe I need a bigger mark on the bottom, like I have over there. Maybe it needs to go off the page. I'm not sure. That's why you just keep doing it until you like it. Okay, and I don't know about this sharp corner here. Let's take that out. And okay. might have liked having that better. So, but see what I'm saying? You just gotta keep just keep doing it. Just keep going over it until you figure out what you like. And this is kind of working more as I'm kind of dry brushing. I didn't mean for this to be so much of this green, but I'm really enjoying it. So, okay. I'm gonna take it out and then put it back in. Okay. Okay. I need some green up here. Right. Okay. My icon got a cute. I don't know how do these icons. I don't know how it works. How did I don't know how that works. How do you choose the colors to begin, or did you get your inspiration from the fall season? Sherry, these are just colors that I actually really like. I like a lot of really dull colors. And so for me, even though it seems very fallish, it's like these are just colors I'm always drawn to. So that's kind of how that happens. But uh, yeah, some people, and I was having this conversation earlier in my session. Some people really are drawn to bright colors and very. I don't think I like this middle thing here. And so, they might choose that regardless of the season. Although I like seasonal painting. I think that's a good idea. But for me, it's more like I like those colors. Okay. I just keep editing out, editing. Okay. Let's see. What else needs to go away? Does this whole thing need to go away? Maybe. Okay. Well, maybe these have to be going away. You just keep, you see what I'm saying? You just kind of keep, add it, take it away, add it, take it away. Maybe this needs to be lighter, or a brighter version of that green. Or maybe that needs to be bolder. Let's see. Too much. Okay. So I think you're seeing kind of the process. This is kind of what I do is I'll just start and make some design choices, choose my color palette, and then go from there and see what happens. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. I do, if I like it too much, a lot of times I'll take my Catalyst Wedge and rough it up, and then you'll see some colors coming through below. It could be that I have to take all of this out. It's like, it's not working, and so we'll see. Let's see what happens. Okay, and I think we got a few more minutes. So if there's any questions or anything, go ahead and add those in. And yeah, that's kind of more of a taupey color. I don't know. Not sure about that because I didn't with the darks. So let's do this. Okay, kind of am liking this side. This side I'm struggling with. And I feel like I kind of want them to all flow together, but this is not working. And so, this is just reality. This is just how it goes when I'm working on stuff. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know if I try to connect that one across. Do not. Get some more lighter colors. Maybe we need to add some more of the sienna back in. Okay. Wow. Okay. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Was that crazy? That was crazy. But again, if you don't like it, you just start over. Just keep adding. And that's kind of what I do, is I just keep adding until it gets to where I like it. I'm trying to use that original composition, but for some reason doesn't feel right, even though I keep adding it back in. And maybe it's because it's too dark. So let's take it down. Let's try to add, just make it browny, bluey, but not quite so aggressive. Maybe that will make it better. Okay, yeah, Angelina, yeah. Well, it is, yeah, you're right. It isn't completely dry, and I am on live camera, so I have to keep going. I don't have to. I could swap it out. But I feel like, I think I showed you earlier, a lot of times when it gets too wet, you can just take a piece of paper, and that can pull off some of the paint, and that helps a little bit. I also, when you draw this across, it it makes it makes it thinner and drier. So and it's a warm day, so I'm not having too much trouble with that. But yeah, often you have to let things dry. And if I was by myself, I would probably have another art journal, probably 3 other art journals, um, you know, going. So I wouldn't be just working in one. So yeah, maybe this dark is just too much. That's why. Okay, just tone it down a little bit. And okay, so I'm starting to run out of some of my paint, which is okay. I got more right here. And I think we're getting close to the end here. But there's never an end. Okay. Is there, I mean, you can just, I sometimes work on something and then I will go back at a later time and fix it. You know, I'll see it with fresh eyes. So sometimes you just definitely, you just kind of go till you get to a spot. And then, actually, I kind of think I like that lighter color up there, and maybe I'll put some lighter of that lighter color down here. And let's see, I feel like I lost some of these marks. So let's, just kind of add a little more variation. Yeah, this green keeps coming back, even though I keep painting it out. It just, it's like it doesn't, it keeps wanting to come back in. Okay, I'm gonna mix this with some gray, the raw sienna. I do occasionally use paints right out of the tube. I don't, not often. Yeah, I think I lost all the raw sienna. Well, there's little pockets of it, but it was kind of not, doesn't feel like it was totally working. Add some little sprinkles of it. Just holding my paintbrush kind of loose and just kind of seeing what happens. Okay, still looks kind of messy. It still feels like it's a little too dark. So I'm going to mix this just one more time with a little bit lighter, and it just feels like the contrast for me is a little much. So I think some people are really, you know, good or like a lot of contrast, and I kind of don't like quite so much. And so I think that's where it's good to know the things you like and don't like. And I'm going to add, see what, I don't know what gray and this will lead to, but let's try it. That was might be a really pretty color. So just a different shade of, yeah, it kind of tones it down. Let's add Alright, this is, it's gotta go, or somewhat anyway. Okay, well, I think that's probably it. I think if I keep going, it's pretty wet, but I, yeah, I was probably overly optimistic to think I could do this whole thing without having to dry or wait for dry time, but it's good to give it a shot. So anyway, okay, this is not working, but that's why it's good to come to like leave it and to come back and then, um, but yeah, looking at the camera, like what you guys were seeing, I feel like I can see, like if you were painting this and I would say, oh, paint over that or do this or do something different. So I think that's the thing. That's why it's always good to step back and then the next day or later on come back and see it. Also, letting things dry makes a little bit more sense. And working on multiple things at the same time, because then I could have had two or three with the same color palette and working on all of them. And if you get one that you love, that's a win in my book, because that's the whole thing. I was just exploring using these colors. And let me show you again, if I can find it, the one that I just did. It turned out nothing like this, and I use the same color palette. Okay, there it is. Anyway, it turned out with the blues. So I used more Payne's Gray, and this one I think in that one I must have just covered all the green gold. So there you go. Using the exact same colors, I came up with something completely different. So anyway, any final questions? Let's see, Allie. Oh, Allie, what emotion do you find it's best to start art in? That's a good question. For me, I often start it with, I don't really know what I'm doing, and I just got to start something, and then the emotion comes out later because I don't always know what I'm feeling or thinking, and so, but it can be very therapeutic, and particularly a lot of times I like to use words and things like that in my art, and so when I do that, those feelings come out, and those, whatever, maybe I'm using quotes or different things, that comes out. Or sometimes I'm drawing faces, and so that also can be expressed. Those emotions can be expressed. But I don't usually go into it, like I try to be intentional about it, whether I'm feeling it or not. And for me, that's the harder part, is like, I'm not feeling it, so I am having a hard time getting started. But that's a good question. I think a lot of people think, you got to be somewhat tortured in order to be an artist, and maybe that's true. Not totally tortured, but yeah. So, okay. I was sorry to see the Rossiano go, but now I really like how it looks. I know what happened. That's just, I mean, the other, I don't even know, right? It's like I only used 4 colors, so it's funny that that didn't go. So, okay, Giselle, thank you. Oh, thank you guys, Monica, Jamie, thanks. Tosh, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. I've only done one other live, this is the second one, and it's a little intimidating, but there's something very freeing about it too, because I was just kind of talking and going for it, and honestly, whatever. It's kind of more about the process, but I kind of wanted in real time to show you kind of the process that I go through. I would be talking to myself, in my mind, versus talking out loud to you guys. But this is kind of how it is. It's like, oh, okay, I'm starting with this crazy page, and I'm just going to start adding colors on top of it. I'm using a limited palette, and I'm going to try to remember the differences as I'm going along. Oh my gosh, everything is really light. Everything is muted. I need a pop of something. I have a thick line. I need a small line. I need a big square. I need a small square, or whatever it happens to be. But trying to keep those things in mind to make the art a little bit more interesting, when I tend to be prone to, unfortunately, using all for some reason I had grabbed all these 1/2-inch brushes, and really I didn't reach for this one, the bigger ones, mop brush, or this, larger size. So that's kind of a mistake sometimes. You got to vary your tools. I did grab a palette knife at one point, and this color shaper, and that is a good point. Did you realize I did not use this at all? The whole point was to use this new paint. I think I used it once in the very beginning. Okay, note to self. So, you know, again, I didn't have it on the palette, and that was probably I was going to dip my brush in there, and I think maybe I did once. So anyway, okay, guys, this was so fun, and I just appreciate all of you being here, and I hope that this was inspiring. So go get your, you know, just go grab a marker and just go for it. Or if you really feel like it, get your paints out. If it's early in the morning, like it is in Australia, you got all day in front of you. If the rest of us, we're heading towards the end of the day. So don't forget, get your little pumpkins. They're so cute. It's fall. Well, it's not fall yet, but it's almost fall. So anyway, get your little white pumpkin at Trader Joe's. And I'm gonna, you know, we'll see. I don't know how often I'm gonna do these, but I would like to do them with a little more regularity. So anyway, thanks so much, all of you, and for your kind words. Oh my gosh, Ingrid, thank you so much. Giselle, oh my gosh, you guys are just so sweet. I appreciate it. I'll go back and make sure I read through all your comments. Sherry, thank you. Anyway, I guess I'm having a hard time signing off. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. Like I always say in my videos, and I will see you next time.